Hey everyone, Sparkle Butterfly here alongside with...
My 11 with a 14 or Mickey.
And welcome to another video. My gosh, it has been a long time since I've done this.
And since we did a video together.
Yeah. Oh, for those of you who didn't notice, Mickey got a haircut.
Yep, it's all gone. Besides this, I don't really care how it is today. Because I'm home. I ain't going nowhere today. So we're good.
There you go. Okay, so, if you remember, the time when I was starting to read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but I never finished, well,
We're going to start over.
we're going to start over, but this time, we're reading it together.
Yes.
So, yeah, so we're going to be reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory together. We're going to be, taking turns reading the different chapters, and we're also going to act out as the different characters, so it should be lots of fun.
Also, we're going to read 5 chapters of this book.
Like I did last time, we're going to read the 5 chapters that I read in the first video.
And then probably, like, next week or whatever, or this week, well, any other day, we're going to read
The next 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so, shall we do this? Shall we get started?
Let's get it.
Okay. So, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl.
Oh, I was going to do it, but okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. No, the Golden Edition.
You got the golden edition one.
I got the Golden Edition.
It's from my collection. This is too, but you know.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. By Roald Dahl. Illustrated by Quentin Blake. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, who's going first?
You
can.
I can go first?
Yes.
Wookie. Alright.
Almost there. There we go.
Okay, so you're gonna follow along?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Chapter 1. Here comes Charlie. These two very old people are the father and mother of Mr. Bucket. Their names are Grandpa Joe and Grandma Josephine. And these two very old people are the father and mother of Mrs. Bucket. Their names are Grandpa George and Grandma Georgina. This is Mr. Bucket, and this is Mrs. Bucket. Mr. and Mrs. Mr. and Mrs. Bucket. I should have probably said this, but I'm gonna probably mess up a bunch of times
Me
while
too.
I'm reading, so
Yeah.
forgive us if we mess up, okay?
Sorry.
We're amateurs.
Yeah, we're amateurs.
Amateurs. Okay, so, where was I? Oh, yes. Mr. and Mrs. Bucket have a small boy whose name is Charlie Bucket. This is Charlie.
Yeah.
How do you do? And how do you do? And how do you do again? He is pleased to meet you. Okay. The whole of this family, the 6 grown-ups, count them, and little Charlie Bucket lived together in a small wooden house on the edge of a great town. The house wasn't nearly large enough for so many people, and life was extremely uncomfortable for them all. There were only 2 rooms in the place altogether, and there was only 1 bed. Can you imagine living in a house with 1 bed?
Oh, no.
I would.
Mm-mm.
I wouldn't like that at all.
Me either.
And I bet they didn't like it either.
Yeah, I know.
I feel bad for them.
Mm-hmm.
Where was I?
The bed was.
But life's gonna get better for them.
Yeah.
You'll see.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
The bed was given to the 4 old grandparents because they were so old and tired. They were so tired, they never got out of it. Grandpa Joe and Grandma Josephine on this side, I think. Right, was it this side?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was this side. And Grandpa George and Grandma Georgina on this side.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse the bandage on my finger. Mr. and Mrs. Bucket and little Charlie Bucket slept in the other room upon mattresses on the floor. In the summertime, this wasn't too bad. But in the winter, freezing cold drafts blew across the floor all night long. And it was awful. Oof.
Yeesh.
Yikes.
I feel bad for them.
I know. But life's gonna get better
Yeah.
for them, like I said.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There wasn't any question for them being able to buy a better house, or even one more bed to sleep in. They were far too poor for that. Mr. Bucket was the only person in the family with a job. He worked in a toothpaste factory, where he sat all day long at a bench and screwed the little caps onto the tops of... this is a tongue twister, okay. Hold on. Let me try to get this. The little caps onto the tops of the tubes of toothpaste after the tubes have been filled. You try saying it 5 times fast, ladies and gentlemen. My gosh. Okay. But toothpaste cap screwer has never paid very much money. And poor Mr. Bucket, however hard he worked and however fast he screwed on the caps, was never able to make enough to buy 1/2 of the things that so large a family needed. There wasn't even enough money to buy proper food for them all. The only meals they could afford were bread and margarine for breakfast, boiled potatoes and cabbage for lunch, and cabbage soup for supper. Sundays were a little better. They all looked forward to Sundays, because then, although they had exactly the same, everyone was allowed a second helping. That's nice.
I know.
That's really nice. The Buckets, of course, didn't starve, but every one of them, the 2 old grandfathers, the 2 old grandmothers, Charlie's father, Charlie's mother, and especially little Charlie himself, went about from morning till night with a horrible, empty feeling in their tummies.
Oh.
Charlie felt it worst of all. And although his father and mother often went without their own share of lunch or supper so that they could give it to him, it still wasn't nearly enough for a growing boy. He desperately wanted something more filling and satisfying than cabbage and cabbage soup. The one thing he longed for more than anything else was chocolate.
Chocolate.
Yeah. Chocolate. Walking to school in the mornings, Charlie could see great slabs of chocolate piled up high in the shop windows. He would stop and stare and press his nose against the glass, his mouth watering like mad. My mouth would be watering too.
I know, right?
Many times a day, he would see other children taking creamy candy bars out of their pockets and munching them greedily. And that, of course, was pure torture.
Dang.
Yeah, that is torture. You don't share your candy bars. Who does that? Who doesn't share their candy bars? Anyway. Only once a year, on his birthday, did Charlie Bucket ever get to taste a bit of chocolate. The whole family saved up their money for that special occasion. And when the great day arrived, Charlie was always presented with one small chocolate bar to eat all by himself. And each time he received it on those marvelous birthday mornings, he would place it carefully in a small wooden box that he owned, and treasure it as though it were a bar of solid gold. And for the next few days, he would allow himself only to look at it, but never to touch it. Then at last, when he could stand it no longer, he would peel back a tiny bit of paper, the paper wrapping, and at one corner to expose a tiny bit of chocolate. And then he would take a tiny nibble, just enough to allow the lovely sweet taste to spread out slowly over his tongue. Oh, that sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, he would take another tiny nibble, and so on, and so on. And in this way, Charlie would make his 10-cent bar of birthday chocolate last him for more than a month. That's pretty clever.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't told you about the one awful thing that tortured little Charlie, the lover of chocolate, more than anything else. This thing, for him, was far, far worse than seeing slabs of chocolate in the shop windows or watching other children munching creamy candy bars right in front of him. It was the most terrible, torturing thing you could imagine. And it was this. In the town itself, actually within sight of the house which little Charlie lived, there was an enormous chocolate factory. Just imagine that.
I know.
And it wasn't just simply an ordinary chocolate factory either. It was the largest and most famous in the world. It was Wonka's factory, owned by a man called Mr. Willy Wonka.
Mm-hmm.
I love Willy Wonka.
Me too.
The greatest inventor and maker of chocolates that there ever has been. And what a tremendous, marvelous place it was. It had huge iron gates leading into it, and a high wall surrounding it, and smoke belching from its chimneys, and strange whizzing sounds coming from deep inside it. And outside of the walls, for half a mile around every direction, the air was scented with the heavy, rich smell of melting chocolate.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I love the smell of chocolate.
Especially milk chocolate.
Oh, so good.
Anyway.
Twice a day on his way to and from school, little Charlie had to walk right past the gates of the factory. And every time he went by, he would begin to walk very, very slowly. And he would hold his nose high in the air and take deep, long sniffs of the gorgeous chocolatey smell all around him. Oh, how he loved that smell, and oh, how he wished he could go inside the factory to see what it was like. Okay, your turn.
Let's just talk about chapter 1 right quick.
Okay.
Just imagine us living right by Mr. Wonka's factory. That would be so amazing.
Tell me about it. That would be insane.
Okay.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright. Oh, sorry.
Mr. Willy Wonka's factory. In the evenings, after he had finished his supper of watery cabbage soup, Charlie always went to the room of his 4 grandparents to listen to their stories, and then, afterwards, to say goodnight. Every one of these old people was over 90. They were shriveled as prunes and as bony as skeletons, and throughout the day, until Charlie made his appearance, they lay huddled in their one bed, 2 at either end, with nightcaps on to keep their heads warm, dozing the time away, with nothing to do. But as soon as they heard the door opening and heard Charlie's voice saying, "Good evening, Grandpa Joe and Grandma Josephine and Grandpa George and Grandma Georgina," then all 4 of them would suddenly sit up, and their old wrinkled face would light up with smiles of pleasure, and the talking would begin. Excuse me. For they loved this little boy. He was the only bright thing in their lives, and his evening's visits were something that they looked forward to all day long. Often Charlie's mother and father would come in as well, and stand by the door. I'm sorry, I'm reading too slow.
No, you're fine. I actually like it. Keep going.
Stand by the door, listening to the stories that the old people told, and thus, for perhaps half an hour every night, this room would become a happy place, and the whole family would forget that it was hungry and poor. One evening, when Charlie went in to see his grandparents, he said to them, "Is it really true that Wonka's chocolate factory is the biggest, Yeah, chocolate factory is the biggest in the world.
True! What?
I like that.
Okay. Alright.
Cried all four of them. Crying all four of them at once.
Of course it's true. Good heavens, didn't you know that? It's about 50 times as big as any other.
And is Mr. Willy Wonka really the cleverest chocolate maker in the world?
My dear boy,
said Grandpa Joe, raising himself up a little higher on his pillow.
Mr. Wonka is the most amazing, the most fantastic, the most extraordinary chocolate maker the world has ever seen. I thought everyone knew that.
I knew he was famous, Grandpa Joe. And I knew he was very clever.
Clever?
Cried the old man.
He's more than that. He's a magician with chocolate. He can make anything he wants. Isn't that a fact, my dears?
The other three people nodded their heads slowly up and down and said,
Absolutely true. Just as true as can be.
And Grandpa Joe said,
You mean to tell me... Wait, hold on. You mean to say that I've never told you about Mr. Willy Wonka and his factory?
Never, answered little Charlie.
Good heavens above! I don't know what's the matter with me.
Will you tell me now, Grandpa Joe, please?
I certainly will. Sit down beside me on the bed, my dear, and listen carefully.
Grandpa Joe was the oldest of the four grandparents. He was 96 and a half, and this is just about as old as anybody can be. Like all extremely old people, he was delicate and weak, and throughout the day, he spoke very little. But in the evenings, when Charlie, his beloved grandson, was in the room, he seemed in some marvelous way to grow quite young again. All his tiredness fell away from him, and he became as eager and excited as a young boy.
Okay. Oh, it's my turn. Okay. Sorry. Oh, what a man he is, this Mr. Willy Wonka.
Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. Cried Grandpa Joe.
Did you know, for example, that he has himself invented more than 200 new kinds of candy bars, each with a different center, each far sweeter and creamier, more delicious than any of the other chocolate factories can make? Perfectly true,
cried Grandma Josephine.
And he sends them to all four corners of the earth. Isn't that so, Grandpa Joe? It is, my dear, it is. And to all the kings and presidents of the world as well. But it isn't only chocolate bars that he makes. Oh, dear me, no. He has some really fantastic inventions up his sleeve, Mr. Willy Wonka has. Did you know that he has invented a way of making chocolate ice cream so it stays cold for hours and hours without being in the icebox? You can even leave it lying in the sun all morning on a hot day and it won't go runny.
But that's impossible, said little Charlie, staring at his grandfather.
Of course it's impossible,
cried Grandpa Joe.
It's completely absurd. But Mr. Willy Wonka has done it. Quite right. Oh. No, let's say it together.
Quite right. The others agreed, nodding their heads. Mr. Wonka has done it.
And then again.
Grandpa Joe went on, speaking very slow, now that Charlie wouldn't miss a word.
Mr. Willy Wonka can make marshmallows that taste of violets, and rich caramels that change colors every 10 seconds as you suck them, and little feathery sweets that melt away deliciously the moment you put them between your lips. He can make chewing gum that never loses its taste, and candy balloons that you can blow up into enormous sizes before you pop them with a pin and gobble them up. And by a most secret method, he can make lovely bluebirds' eggs with black spots on them. And when you put one of these in your mouth, it gradually gets smaller and smaller, until suddenly there's nothing left except a little tiny pink sugary baby bird sitting on the tip of your tongue.
Grandpa Joe paused and ran the point of his tongue slowly over his lips.
It makes my mouth water just thinking about it.
Mine too, said little Charlie. But please go on. While they were talking, Mr. and Mrs. Buckets, Charlie's mother and father, had come quietly into the room, and now both were standing just inside the door, listening.
Tell Charlie about that crazy Indian prince.
He like.
Said.
Oh, wait, what? Oh, sorry. Said Grandma Josephine.
He'd like to hear that. You mean Prince Pondicherry?
Said Grandpa Joe, and he began chuckling with laughter.
Completely dirty.
Said Grandpa George.
But very rich.
Said Grandma Georgina. What did he do? Asked Charlie eagerly.
Listen.
Said Grandpa Joe.
And I'll tell you. All right.
This is chapter 3 now, guys.
So you're Charlie then.
Okay.
You read Charlie's parts.
Yay!
This is fantastic. Okay. All right. Chapter 3. Mr. Wonka and the Indian Prince. Prince Pondicherry wrote a letter to Mr. Willy Wonka, said Grandpa Joe, and asked him to come all the way out to India and build him a colossal palace entirely out of chocolate.
Sorry.
Your turn.
Where are we? Oh, shoot. Did it work, Grandpa?
No, hold on.
Oh.
Right there.
Oh. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
It's time to be funny.
It's time to be funny.
Did Mr. Wonka do it, Grandpa?
He did indeed. And what a palace it was. It had 100 rooms, and everything was made of either dark or light chocolate. The bricks were chocolate, and the cement holding them together was chocolate. And the windows were chocolate, and all the walls and ceilings were made of chocolate. So were the carpets, and the pictures, and the furniture, and the beds. And when you turn on the taps in the bathroom, hot chocolate came pouring out. Can you imagine that?
Oh, yeah.
Holy cow. I couldn't eat all that.
I couldn't either. I would get a stomachache.
Yeah. We'd have to, invite a whole neighborhood.
Or
maybe, a whole country to eat it.
Hey, guys! We have a castle to eat!
Come here! We have a castle to eat!
We have an edible castle!
Okay, we gotta eat it before tomorrow morning!
Okay, anyway.
Alright.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Do you want me to be Prince Pondicherry too?
Actually, yes, that'd be funny. Okay. Alright. When it was all finished... Finished. When it was all finished, excuse me, Mr. Wonka said to Prince Pondicherry, I warn you, though, it won't last very long, so you better start eating it right away.
Nonsense!
Shouted the prince.
I'm going to eat my palace.
I'm not going to eat my palace.
I'm not going to eat my palace. I'm not even going to nibble the staircase or lick the walls. I'm going to live in it.
But Mr. Wonka was right, of course, because soon after this, there came a very hot day with a boiling sun, and the whole palace began to melt, and then it sank slowly to the ground. And the crazy prince, who was dozing in the living room at the time, woke up to find himself swimming around in a huge brown sticky lake of chocolate.
Oh.
Can you act out what he be doing if he woke up finding himself swimming in that? No, he'd be like, no, my castle!
My castle! My castle!
Oh, sorry, my palace.
My palace! No! I'll get you, Wonka!
Oh,
that's funny.
Okay. Little Charlie sat very still on the edge of the bed, staring at his grandfather. Charlie's face was bright, and his eyes were stretched so wide that you could see the whites all around.
Is this really true?
He asked.
Or are you pulling my leg?
It's true! Cried all four of the old people at once. Of course it's true. Ask anyone you like. And I'll tell you something else that's true, said Grandpa Joe. And now he leaned closer to Charlie and lowered his voice into a soft, secret whisper. Nobody ever comes out,"
Out of where?
asked Charlie. "And nobody ever goes in,"
In where?
cried Charlie. "Wonka's factory, of course."
Grandpa, what do you mean?
"I mean workers, Charlie."
Workers?
"All factories," said Grandpa Joe, "have workers streaming in and out of the gates in the mornings and evenings, except Wonka's. Have you ever seen a single person going into that place, or coming out?" Little Charlie looked slowly around at each of the 4 old faces, one after the other, and they all looked back at him. They were friendly, smiling faces, but they were also quite serious. There was no sign of joking or leg pulling on any of them. "Well, have you?" asked Grandpa Joe.
I really don't know, Grandpa.
Charlie stammered.
Whenever I walk past the factory, the gates seem to be closed.
"Exactly," said Grandpa Joe.
No people?
No,
Oh, wait.
you missed a line.
Wait, but there must be people working there.
Not people, Charlie. Not ordinary people, anyway,"
Then who?
cried Charlie. "Aha! That's it, you see. That's another of Mr. Willy Wonka's cleverness." "Charlie, dear," Mrs. Bucket called out from where she was standing by the door. "It's time for bed. That's enough for tonight."
But Mother, I must hear.
"Tomorrow, my darling." "That's right," said Grandpa Joe.
Yeah.
"I'll tell you the rest of the story tomorrow evening." Hold on one second. Sorry about that. We had someone interrupting. But we're just gonna ignore that. So it's your turn to read.
This is fun.
This is fun. I like this.
Me too. And not you.
We should do this more often.
I know. Okay.
Maybe next time we should do Alice in Wonderland or something.
Ooh.
Mm.
Okay, it's my turn.
All right.
Hey, my turn.
Okay. All right. Chapter 4.
Chapter 4. The Secret Workers. The next evening, Grandpa Joe went on with his story.
"You see, Charlie,"
He said,
not so very long ago, there used to be thousands of people working in Mr. Willy Wonka's factory. And one day, all of a sudden, Mr. Wonka had to ask every single one of them to leave, to go home, never to come back.
"But why?" asked Charlie.
"Because of spies."
Spies?
"Yes. All the other chocolate makers, you see, had begun to grow jealous of the wonderful candies that Mr. Wonka was making, and they began sending in spies to steal his secret recipes. The spies took jobs in the factory, pretending they were ordinary workers. And while they were there, each one of them found out exactly how a certain thing was made."
Oh, and did they go back to their own factories and tell? Asked Charlie.
"They must have,
Answered Grandpa Joe.
because soon after that, Fickelgrouper's factory started making an ice cream that would never melt, even in the hottest sun. Then Prodno's factory came out with a chewing gum that never loses its taste, no matter how much you chewed it. And then Mr. Slugworth's factory began making candy balloons that you could blow up to huge sizes before popping them with a pen and gobbling them up, and so on, and so on. And Mr. Willy Wonka tore his beard and shouted, "This is terrible! I shall be ruined! There are spies everywhere! I'll have to close the factory!"
But he didn't do that. Charlie said.
"Oh, yes, he did. He told all of his workers that he was sorry, but they would have to go home. Then he shut the main gates and fastened them with a chain, and suddenly Wonka's giant chocolate factory became silent and deserted. The chimneys stopped smoking, the machines stopped whirring, and from then on, not a single chocolate or candy was made. Not a soul went in or out, and even Mr. Willy Wonka himself had disappeared completely. Months and months went by,
Grandpa Joe went on.
but still the factory remained closed, and everybody said, "Poor Mr. Wonka, he was so nice, and he made such marvelous things, but he's finished now. It's all over." Then something astonishing happened. One day early in the morning, thin columns of white smoke were seen coming out from the tops of the tall chimneys of the factory. People in the town stopped and stared. "What's going on?" they cried. "Someone's lit the furnaces. Mr. Wonka must be opening up again." They ran to the gates, expecting them to be wide open, and Mr. Wonka standing there to welcome his workers back. But no. The great iron gates were still locked and chained as securely as ever, and Mr. Wonka was nowhere to be seen. "But the factory's working," the people shouted. "Listen, you can hear the machines. They're all whirring again. And you can smell the smell of melting chocolate in the air."
Grandpa Joe leaned forward and laid a big bony finger on Charlie's knee, and he said softly,
"But the most mysterious of all, Charlie, were the shadows in the windows of the factory. The people standing on the street outside could see small dark shadows moving about behind the frosted glass windows."
"Shadows of whom?" said Charlie quickly.
That's exactly what everyone else wanted to know. "The place is full of workers," the people shouted. "But nobody's gone in. The gates are locked. It's crazy. No one's ever come out either." But there was no question at all,
said Grandpa Joe,
that the factory was still running. It's gone on running ever since, for these last 10 years. What's more, the chocolate and candies, it's been turning out to have become more fantastic and delicious all the time. And of course now, when Mr. Wonka invents some new and wonderful candy, neither Mr. Ficklegrouper, nor Mr. Prodnose, nor Mr. Slugworth, nor anybody else is able to copy it. No spies can go into the factory to find out how it was made.
"But Grandpa, who?" cried Charlie. "Who is Mr. Wonka using to do all the work in the factory?"
Nobody knows, Charlie.
Oh, that's me?
Yeah.
But that's absurd. Hasn't somebody asked Mr. Wonka? Nobody sees him.
That's my line.
Sorry about that, guys.
It's okay.
I'm just intrigued. And
Nobody sees him anymore. He never comes out. The only thing that comes out of that place are chocolates and candies. They come out through a special trap door in the wall, all packed and addressed. And they're picked up every day by post office trucks.
But Grandpa, what sort of people are they that work in there?
My dear boy,
said Grandpa Joe.
That's one of the greatest mysteries of the chocolate-making world. We know only one thing about them. They're very small. The faint shadows that sometimes appear behind the windows, especially late at night when the lights are on, are those of tiny people. People no taller than my knee.
There aren't any such people, Charlie said. Oh, just then, Mr. Bucket, Charlie's father, came into the room. He was home from the toothpaste factory. Try saying that fast. And he was waving an evening newspaper rather excitedly. Do
you want to do it, or do you want me to do it?
It don't matter.
I mean, I'm Mrs. Bucket. You can be Mr. Bucket if you want.
Okay. Have you heard the news? He cried. He held up the paper so that they could see the huge headline. The headline reading, Wonka Factory to be open at last to the lucky few.
All right.
Let's get it.
Chapter 5, The Golden Tickets. Oh boy, here we go. You mean people are actually going to be allowed to go inside the factory? Cried Grandpa Joe. Read us what it says, quickly.
All right, said
Mr. Bucket, smoothing out the newspaper.
Listen. You want me to read that?
You can if you want.
Okay. Evening
Bulletin.
Evening Bulletin. Mr. Willy Wonka, the candy-making genius who nobody's seen for the last 10 years, sent out the following notice today. I, Willy Wonka, have decided to allow five children, just 5, mind you, and no more, to visit my factory this year. These lucky 5 will be shown around. If I turn the page, yeah,
you did.
Personally by me. And they will be allowed to see all the secrets and the magic of my factory. Then, at the end of the tour, as a special present, all of them will be given enough chocolates and candies to last them for the rest of their lives.
Wow.
So watch out for the golden tickets. 5 golden tickets have been printed on golden paper, and these 5 golden tickets, have been hidden under the ordinary wrapping paper of 5 ordinary candy bars. These 5 candy bars may be anywhere, in any shop, in any street, in any town, in any country in the world. Upon any counter where Wonka's candies are sold. And the 5 lucky finders of the golden tickets are the only ones who will be allowed to visit my factory and see what's it like now inside. Good luck to you all and happy hunting. Signed, Willy Wonka.
The man's dirty!
No, this is your story.
Oh, wait. You're right. I'm sorry.
I was like,
I'm sorry. The man's dirty, murmured Grandma Josephine. He's brilliant, cried Grandpa Joe. He's a magician. Just imagine what will happen now. The whole world will be searching for those golden tickets. Everyone will be buying Wonka's candy bars in the hopes of finding one. He'll sell more than ever before. Oh, how exciting would it be to find one. And all the chocolate and candies you could eat for the rest of your life. Free, said Grandpa George. Just imagine that. They'll have to deliver them in a truck. Said Grandma Georgina. Makes me quite ill to think of it, said Grandma Josephine. My goodness. Nonsense, cried Grandpa Joe. Wouldn't it be something, Charlie, to open a bar of candy and see a golden ticket glistening inside?
It would certainly, Grandpa, but there isn't a hope.
Charlie said sadly.
I only get one a year, on 1 bar a year.
You never know, darling, said Grandma Georgina. It's your birthday next week. You'll have as much chance as anybody else. I'm afraid that simply isn't true, said Grandpa George. The kids who are going to find the golden tickets are the ones who can afford to buy a candy bars every day. Our Charlie gets only 1 a year. There isn't a hope.
Dang.
That's sad.
Dang.
Eh. Well.
Hold on. Let me see how long this one is.
Well, let's see. There's...
Maybe we can read one more.
There's 30 chapters in this. Yeah, let's read one more. Go ahead.
Hold on. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, we're gonna read one more, guys.
Bonus.
Because
we're having too much fun.
Bonus. So, chapter 6. The first 2 finders.
Mm-hmm.
The very next day, the first golden ticket was found. The finder was a boy called Augustus Gloop, and Mr. Bucket's evening newspaper carried a large picture of him on the front page. The picture showed a 9-year-old boy who was enormously fat. He looked as though he had been blown up with a powerful pump. Great flabby folds of fat bulged out from every part of his body, and his face was like a monstrous ball of dough with 2 small greedy
Currently? I don't know how to say that.
Whatever. Eyes peering out upon the world. The town in which Augustus Gloop lived, the newspaper said, had gone wild with excitement over their hero. Flags were flying from all the windows. Children had been given a holiday from school.
Wow.
And imagine if that was real though.
Wow.
A holiday from school and a parade was being organized in honor of the famous youth.
Can you imagine a parade being organized for you if you did that?
I know.
Huh,
That'd be amazing.
that would be amazing. Are you kidding? Okay. Okay, I'll be, Mrs. Gloop.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
I just knew Augustus would find a golden ticket.
His mother had told the newspaperman.
He eats so many candy bars a day that it was almost impossible for him not to find one. Eating is his hobby, you know. That's all he's interested in. But still, that's better than being a hooligan and shooting off zip guns and things like that in his spare time, isn't it? And what I always say is, he wouldn't go on eating like he does unless he needed nourishment, would he? It's all vitamins anyway. What a thrill it would be for him to visit Mr. Wonka's marvelous factory. We're just as proud as can be. What a revolting woman!
Said Grandma Josephine.
And what a repulsive boy!
Said Grandma Georgina.
Only 4 golden tickets left.
Said Grandpa George.
I wonder who will get those.
And now the whole country, indeed, the whole world, seemed suddenly to be caught up in a mad candy buying spree. Everybody searching frantically for those precious remaining tickets. Fully grown women were seen going into sweet shops and buying 10 Wonka bars at a time. Then tearing off the wrappers on the spot and peering eagerly underneath for a glint of gold paper. Children were taking hammers and smashing their piggy banks and running out to the shops with handfuls of money.
Poor piggy banks.
I know.
You have to buy new piggy banks every time. I would never smash a piggy bank.
Like, piggy bank smash.
That's terrible.
Here's the piggy bank. The piggy bank, hammer, smash.
No! Poor piggy.
Okay, what was I?
I'm sorry. I interrupted. I'm sorry.
I got it.
Yep, here we go.
In one city, a famous gangster robbed a bank of $5,000 and spent the whole lot. Huh?
The whole lot on candy bars.
Oh, the whole lot on candy bars that same afternoon. And when the police entered his house to arrest him, they found him sitting on the floor amidst mountains of candy, ripping off the wrappers with the blade of a long dagger. In far off Russia, a woman called Charlotte Roos claimed to have found the second ticket, but it turned out to be a clever fake. And in England, the famous scientist Professor Foulbody invented a machine which would tell you at once, without opening the wrapper of a candy bar, whether or not there was a golden ticket hidden underneath it. The machine was a mechanical arm that shot out with tremendous force and grabbed hold of anything that had the slightest bit of gold inside it. And for a moment, it looked like the answer to everything.
It does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, while the professor was showing off the machine to the public at the candy counter of a large department store, the mechanical arm shot out and made a grab for the gold filling in the back tooth of a duchess who was standing nearby. Ouch.
That does not sound good.
There was an ugly scene, and the machine was smashed by the crowd.
Oh, dear. That wasn't meant to happen, was it? Yikes.
Suddenly, on the day before Charlie Bucket's birthday, the newspapers announced that the second golden ticket had been found. The lucky person was a small girl. Can I be Veruca?
Yeah, sure.
Called Veruca Salt, who lived with her rich parents in a great city far away. Once again, Mr. Bucket's evening newspaper carried a big picture of the finder. She was sitting between her beaming father and mother in the living room of their house, waving the golden ticket above her head, and grinning from ear to ear. Veruca's father, Mr. Salt, had eagerly explained to the newspaperman exactly how the golden ticket was found.
You see, fellers.
You see, fellers.
Wait, you want me to do it? Or you want me to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, do you want me to do it?
Oh,
Would it be funny if I did it?
Actually, would. You can be Veruca too. I'll be her mother later.
You see, fellers. Could they understand what I said?
See here, fellers.
You see here, fellers. He said. As soon as my little girl told me that she... See? I told you this would be funny. You like that? You like that?
Oh, no. Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is funny. This is going on the internet.
It is going... Well, it's on YouTube, so...
Nice.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
As soon as my little girl told me about these...
This is going nowhere. I'm sorry. Keep going. No, keep going.
As soon as my little girl told me that she simply had to have one of those golden tickets, I went out into the town and started buying. Okay.
Sorry, but what?
Started buying up all these Wonka bars I could lay my hands on. Thousands of them I must have bought. Hundreds of thousands. Then I had them located on
Loaded.
Then I had them loaded onto trucks and sent them directly to my own factory. I'm in the peanut business, you see, and I've got 100 women working for me over at my joint, shelling peanuts for roasting and salting. Is that funny?
No, it is.
That's what they do all day long these days. Do all day long. Those women, they sit there shelling peanuts. So I say to them, okay, girls, I say, from now on, you stop shelling peanuts and start shelling. Wait.
No, you're doing good. Keep going.
And start shelling the wrappers off these crazy candy bars instead. And they all did. And they did. Want me to keep on going?
Keep on going. You didn't stop.
I had every worker in the place yanking the paper off those bars of chocolate fully speed ahead.
Fully speed ahead.
Full speed.
Fully speed ahead.
Full speed ahead. Morning till night. But 3 days went by and we had no luck. Oh, it was terrible. My little Veruca got more and more upset each day. And every time I went home, she would scream at me, "Where's my golden ticket? I want my golden ticket!" And she would lie for hours on the floor, kicking and yelling in the most disturbing way. Well, sir, I just hated to see my little girl feeling unhappy like that. That's hard.
No, you're doing good. You're almost done.
So I vowed I would keep up the search until I got her what she wanted. Then suddenly, on the evening of the 4th day, one of my women workers yelled, "You want to be the..."
Yeah, I'll do it. I got it! A golden ticket!
And I said, "Give me it! Give it to me, quick!" And she did. And I rushed it home and gave it to my darling Veruca. And now she's all smiles, and we have a happy home once again.
Okay, take a break. Take a break, Mickey. Take a...
That hurt my vocal. Yay, me!
That was good!
Thank you!
Okay. Mr. Soul, everybody.
Hey!
Okay. That's even worse than the fat boy!
Say Grandma Josephine.
She needs a real good spanking.
Say Grandma Georgina.
Hold on. Here we go.
I don't think the girl's father played it quite fair. Grandpa, do you? Charlie murmured.
He spoils her.
Grandpa Joe said.
And no good can ever come from spoiling a child like that. Charlie, you mark my words. Come to bed, my darling.
Charlie's mother.
Tomorrow's your birthday, don't forget that. So I expect you'll be up early to open your present.
A Wonka bar? Cried Charlie. It is a Wonka bar. It is a Wonka candy bar, isn't it?
Yes, my love.
His mother said.
Of course it is.
Oh, wouldn't it be wonderful if I found the third golden ticket inside it? Charlie said.
Bring it in here when you get it.
Grandpa Joe said.
Then we can all watch you take off the wrapper.
The end for now.
Well, that's it for now.
Mr. Salt, everybody.
Yay!
Thank you.
Are you gonna keep that voice for him?
Maybe not. I don't know.
We shall see.
We don't want to,
What?
lose the page.
Oh no, we'll remember.
We're on chapter 7.
Yeah, we're on chapter 7. We'll continue this on chapter 7 next time.
Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Boy, you really meant we were gonna have a lot of laughs today.
Yay! That's what I was intending to do.
Well, I hope every one of you enjoyed it too, so we look forward to Oh, hey! Yeah! We look forward to doing the next chapters soon.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So, you got anything else to say?
That's what we got for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed the story. And remember, if you don't have no BTS merchandise, what is you doing? Go buy some.
And always remember to keep calm
And sparkle on. Bye, guys.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You're all the best. Bye.
Bye.